So in today's review, we got the Uncanny X-Men Wolverine, and this is a classic iteration or retro version of Wolverine. I'll be comparing him to the Marvel Legends Weapon X Wolverine, seeing they're the same articulation, scale, and everything else. As you guys can see on the back, you do have the other figures as well in this line, which is obviously Wolverine, Phoenix, Longshot, Marvel's Avalanche, Marvel's Spiral, and then Multi-Man. I didn't get the entire wave, just a few of them that I ended up liking, and I ended up getting this one at Ross for a decent price of $5.99. So we're gonna go ahead and open this figure up and look at the accessories first. Even with the figure, I was able to save the artwork on the boxes. I do collect the boxes, not too bad. And then here we have a tray shot of Wolverine. So let's go ahead and look right into the accessories first. So here we do have his additional head sculpt, which really isn't that bad. He does have an angry look, really good, and the plastic feels very soft and well detailed. And then we do have two fists right here, which so this is actually a pretty dope, iconic looking figure, a pretty classic version of Wolverine. It would have been nice if they would have came with a head sculpt that has the mask on, but overall not too bad, and can't complain all that much. But you guys can see that the blue and the yellow pop as well, and then the black and red logo of the X-Men belt right there looks pretty nice as well, as you see it on the back. Overall, detail wise, really isn't too bad. Yellow boots, yellow gloves, yellow torso, and then the rest is accents of blue. So let's go ahead and look at the articulation. You can see on the back he does have that excessive articulation here on the back, kind of like the Hulk does, and then the other version of Wolverine does have this as well. And he is double jointed, but it is very stiff right here on the elbows, and his hands is on a hinge, which goes forward and back and moves around somewhat freely. He does have the bicep swivel as well, thigh swivel, pretty stiff again. He has that calf swivel, which is really good. The toe articulation goes forward and back, really not as good as I want to because it is somewhat stiff. And let's see, the ab crunch is really good in the front, and then on the back it's pretty good as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him on some poses and see exactly how well this looks. He's a good range of posability in my opinion. As you guys can see, he can be placed in different poses, different positions due to the excessiveness of his articulation, which is actually really good in order to add a little bit of dynamic into your posing and or shelf space. When it comes to height, I believe they're basically the same height from what I can tell, other than some slight inches due to the hair and the head sculpt and the neck peg. But overall, they're basically within the same scale as far as height wise. Really not that much difference in that aspect as well. When it comes to articulation, they do have the same form of articulation. They do have this excessive back articulation right here, but it seems like for him on the Weapon X, it moves a lot more freely than the Uncanny X-Men. Kind of have to force it. Really doesn't want to move back at all. It moves forward just fine. It doesn't really want to move back at all. They both have double jointed knees, which is actually really good as well. But like I said, this one is very stiff and doesn't want to do it all that much. They both have double jointed elbows, which is really good for a Wolverine figure. Now the major difference, I guess you could say that this one doesn't have any of the calf swivel, but that's not really a big deal. But they both have a good range of ab crunch forward and ab crunch back. Overall, not that bad. And they both have the same issue with their claws when their claws are all bent and weird from being in the packaging. Probably putting some hot water could probably fix that, or some steam. Overall, it's not a big deal in my opinion, just very expected. Now I'm pretty sure the head joint is different, or the ball joint for the head sculpt is different. It does look a lot smaller in this one because his head is smaller. This one has a larger head sculpt. We're going to go ahead and add some of the accessories to this Wolverine and see what other dynamic poses we can do here in a few. So removing the pieces really isn't all that hard, just popping them out and just replacing them. Overall is pretty easy. I think this is actually the most smoother one I've had in a while, but obviously we're going to keep those fists with the claws because Wolverine is mostly iconic and known for that as well, and we don't want to be breaking these pegs by removing them a lot. I think it's a lot cleaner to have him without the claws, but definitely want to keep him in a fighting position or fighting ready pose. Overall, really not that bad in my opinion. This one I think is pushed in a little bit too much. I don't know. This one doesn't look like it wants to move all that much, so I'm not gonna put that one back on because I don't want to risk breaking it. So we're gonna go ahead and peg that claw one right in. Overall, it's still not a bad figure, especially with a decent price point of $5.99 at a local Ross. You guys should be able to pick this up quite easily. Maybe now it might be a little bit hard due to the movie being very popular. And on my next video, I plan on doing this retro line Carnage, so stay tuned for that as well. Anyways, if you guys like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Plan on doing a little bit more here and there, but when it comes to the overall articulation of this Wolverine, it's really not that bad. Definitely give it a 7.5 out of 10. The iconic look is a solid 8.5 out of 10. Accessories, nice to have different hands and head sculpt, so definitely a 7.5 out of 10. And when it comes to the overall figure, definitely give this a decent 8 out of 10, and it's a must pick up for any collector. If you can get it for cheap, I wouldn't pay more than, you know, $10 or $15 on the third party websites like eBay. I'm not sure what it is going for on Amazon. All right, future me forgot to mention that this Wolverine also is pinless. Not only is this figure cheap, but he is pinless both on his legs and his arms. As you guys can see, there are no pins on the joints, so they definitely took their time on this figure. Definitely would boost it a solid still 8.5 out of 10. Definitely would be 9 if, you know, all the other stuff I mentioned in the past, but overall not that bad. I was noticing this while editing the video. Definitely have to add that it is pinless, which is actually a great plus because not all figures come pinless. Like this version of Wolverine does have pins. If you guys don't know what that means, you guys can see that the pins are visible here, and then right here they're not. So that's basically what it means to be pinless. Definitely a great addition to pick this one up. But yeah, not a bad figure to pick up, and I'll see you guys in the next review.